Hi, I'm Erica Raggett, founder and executive director of A Second Cup. One of our priorities as an organization is to collaborate and support partners in this work to end human trafficking. And one of the ways we do that is by choosing an organization each month to highlight and support financially with proceeds from our split shot drink of the month. This April, we have chosen ImagiNoir BLMHTX. This organization is doing some really great work here in Houston, and it has been an honor to get to highlight their efforts. So I'm here today with Secunda Joseph. She is the Director of Smart Media and Community Organizing at ImagiNoir BLMHTX. Secunda, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me, and just thank you for the work that you all are doing. Not only reaching out to us and choosing us this month, but just what you've done for many organizations who are trying to make this city a better place to be. So
yeah, of course. Well, I would love to have you start by sharing a little bit about the work that ImagiNoir BLMHTX does here in Houston.
Well, ImagiNoir BLMHTX is a local group that focus basically we focus on like how can we make Black Lives Matter in the city. We are a collective of activists and artists and academics and even ministers and community organizers who just believe all of these things. All of our talents can be put to good use. Originally, most of our work really was around symposiums, because education and empowerment, of course, coalition is our work, but symposiums and just like criminal justice sort of reform. But given the issues and the things that happen in the city, we transitioned to doing a lot of, like, I think Harvey pushed us to doing like direct assistance in a way that was much different, and really showed us the need for like abolitionist work, because so much of those things work together. So that's sort of what we are, and that looks like when people need food, how do we get them good quality food and allow them to have a choice of what food they would purchase? When people need housing or being evicted, how can we ensure not only with our dollars, but by building relationships with people who are landlords at least, and then also advocating or sometimes getting a lawyer to make sure that they can stay in that place, like bailing people out of jail and not giving them money to the bail company, but giving straight to the county to sort of push back against this debtors prison that we have. So it looks differently. Yeah, depending on what's happening.
Yeah, I actually like really love getting to watch you guys do that. It's like you see the need and you figure out how to make it happen. And so your organization kind of just adapts to like what you see on the ground in front of you. And you guys are so hands-on. And I mean, I feel like in Houston, we are like every way we turn, there's another crisis. Like it's a hurricane, now it's a freeze, now it's and I just, I like watch you guys jumping into action and really serving the community. And so I've just been really impressed by that kind of work that you do. So what are some of the biggest challenges faced by the communities that you're working with?
I think I would say race. Unfortunately, we live in a country that, not that they have the wrong race, but that racism is a systemic issue, and it determines whether or not people are going to be able to provide for themselves, whether or not people get good educations and really can have a job where they earn enough to care for themselves, whether or not they'll have a criminal history so that they can even find a decent place to live. Even for, I want to say like the, people who we see who are college educated and who, may invest and have a business, but barely making it because race affects how much investment you get from the banks in your business. So I think, but one of the direct things I think is Houston is the #2 space in eviction in the country, right? So of course, Black and brown people are going to be the most evicted, right? Houston also has the largest criminal justice system, jail, in the nation. I think it's #2 as well. And that system is the largest mental health facility in the nation. So I think when you think of terms like how are people being affected, like it's health, it's with like really things that should be a human right. People have housing, people have medical care, those sort of things are like the biggest issues. And people being able to be free, not locked in jail for things that you shouldn't be in jail for like throwing people away. I think those are the largest problems.
Yeah. Yeah. So traditionally at a Second Cup, our split shop partners have all been organizations who primarily focus on anti-trafficking efforts. But over this past year, we decided to kind of expand our vision and include partnerships to include organizations that are working in fields that kind of like intersect with or contribute to human trafficking. And so I would love to hear your thoughts around the intersectionality between racial injustice and human trafficking.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, when in terms of we had the opportunity last year before last, to begin our work. There was a national program that was bailing Black out of jail, and by and large, a lot of the women that we didn't bail a lot of women out of jail because it was like, of course, we didn't give like the money through the bail bond. So if a person had a jail sentence, like a bail out, it was like $10,000. So let me just, okay. But but it opened us up to begin having, because people start passing out our number in the jail, right? So then people start calling and we start building relationships and connecting with other organizations who can assist, who can represent women. And a lot of women, were sex workers, right, to survive. And they were being harassed and jailed over and over again. I think if one woman in particular, I would, who I think about, mother passed away, right, had a mental health condition. So whereas at one time, she had family who cared for her, right? She had a mental health condition. And she got arrested, mother passed away, got out of jail, had no source of income, nothing. It took forever for her to get just her basic like medication and stuff. It took forever for them to, for her to be able to get, I think she's just now receiving her check again. That's been more than a year. Because she had a prison term. So for her, she had been rearrested with no other source of income. And that's just like one story of a a human being. And it happens to many people every day, right? So to me, when I think about like people who are caged, women who are caged for trying to survive, and there's no place for them to be housed, there's no source for them to be able, no other source for them to survive. Like, what are they supposed to do? So I think, that is one of the ways our work sort of intersects. And I don't know, unfortunately, like, we sometimes folks, call because they don't have a place to stay, or they've been, put out of a hotel room, right? Because they've had company, because they're trying to survive. So that's ways that our work intersects, and our job is to, well, where can we get you a place, right? What do you need? Where are you comfortable? That sort of thing. So we it wasn't like it's intentional, like, oh, we're gonna make sure that we support sex workers, or, help people who are being trafficked. Some are being trafficked, some are not, right? But because everything works together, right? Like our systems, and a lot of times if you have no home, then you are going to be connected with, some kind of way with the criminal justice system, the
Mhm.
police, right? And it's just a cycle. So
Yeah.
I make
Yeah.
that a long answer, but
No, I think
yeah.
it's such a complicated issue because you're right, like everything is connected, it's all interconnected. And so, sometimes I feel like in this anti-trafficking field we talk about human trafficking like it happens in a vacuum, and the fact is it doesn't. Like, there are so many things that are playing in, and unfortunately a lot of those vulnerability factors are shouldered disproportionately by Black and Brown communities. And so, in my mind, we cannot even begin to talk about effectively ending human trafficking without also talking about the systems of injustice and oppression that contribute to them. So, so I
And
think, yeah,
I'm sorry, I just add to that, it is a justice issue.
mhm,
It is a justice issue. And if people had what they needed, you hear a lot of people talking about abolition and people being afraid when people say things like defund the police. What people are really saying is let's create things that keep people safe.
yes.
What safety looks like, what can we pour in to care for people? Like that is really what the conversation is about. It's about justice.
Yeah. And like thinking outside of the box and creatively about,
Right.
the world can look different. And so, yeah, I love that you guys are kind of this like collaboration of so many different fields, like artists and activists and ministers and all those things coming together to think creatively about how we can make the world better. So,
Yeah, and I have to say, I think the like the people that we serve, that we serve, or that we partner and work with, like we very much lean on the community to let us know what those solutions are. So
yeah, yeah, so, so important. What are the top three ways that individuals can advocate for the communities that you serve?
I mean, the top three ways is one, I would ask people to read about abolition. Like I read about it, like look at what's happening with our city's budget. Just investigate
Mhm.
what people are saying. There's some people that you can look at, which is one, Angela Davis, old school. I mean, her and the Panthers have been, saying these things forever. Like this is not anything new. And then there's also like Miriam Kaba, who is very active. So I say read and not for the purpose of just to have knowledge, because I think we're past that,
Mhm.
but to expand your imagination toward what's possible. The second thing I'll say is support local organizations like us. Like, one of the things that I think a lot of the issues, or like what would be helpful for us, is like people think after people are not talking about things anymore that things are not happening. Houston is still number two in eviction, right? We still get calls from the jail. We still like those things. Just because it's not on the news, like does not mean that we still don't need help, right? Or people still don't need help. And then another thing, I think, so donate, right? Donate to these local organizations. Um, and a lot of us, especially people who, like I can name like Restoring Justice and BLMH, us BLMHTX and some other folks, like we work together. So it's helpful, when you help us.
Mhm.
And then I think the last thing I would say is, you know, like sometimes supporting organizations is also like some of the things I think that we look like we need volunteers, right? We need people who are willing to just like trust the community, right? I was gonna say something else, but I didn't. Let me regret. But yeah, those are the main things. Like get involved, use your. I think the most important thing thinking about your audience is like use your area of influence to move dollars to other Black and Brown led organizations. Sometimes people think of like, well, how can I be friends and have this relationship with, people of color, Black people, brown people? indigenous folks, it doesn't take that to be community, right? Like, so when you're in community with everybody in community is not your friend. You don't hang out with them, but there's your neighbor. If somebody walks up to your neighbor's door, you know nobody's supposed to be there, you give them a call. You don't have to hang out. That's not what community is. Community is caring for one another. And if you have resources, trust those people who are caring in the community. Don't come in thinking that you're going to be a savior. Don't come in with all your ideas. Come in with your dollars. Come in with your space if you have it. Come in with those things that will make an impact. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that folks could do, and let people do what they know to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for all of the incredible, important work that you are doing towards creating equitable communities here in Houston. You guys are such a valuable partner in this work, and I hope that these conversations and these partnerships can continue.